Okay, let's go. Masal Mahadavar Dome. From the what is it? What is this an analogy to?
Mm-hmm. This may be compared to a beloved maiden.
Lirichimasa diu shapirta bechizu shapirta bereva. There's an expression, a biblical expression, yafas toar v'yafas mara, usually reserved to women, but we just had it in the cows of Pharaoh's dream, which means beautiful in appearance and in form. So there was this beautiful maiden in form and appearance,
concealed secretly in her
and the iu tmirasa betmir gohe chaladela, and she's is la rechima yechida.
She is a single lover.
Delo yadam be bnei nasha.
Unknown to anyone except her.
Alaihu betmiru.
Concealed.
Okay. So the idea here is the Zohar and the old man, the Saba, the Mishpatim, this old man is offering this parable of the maiden, the hidden maiden, the maiden without eyes. And the analogy is that there's a woman that is basically, for some reason, we don't really know the reason, she's hiding. And nobody knows about her, except one person who loves her. And she knows about him, and he knows about her, and nobody else knows about her. It's such a wonderful analogy because it reminds me of a beautiful teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. This is one of the most awesome teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. I think it was the Maggid. He came to the Baal Shem Tov and there's one version of the story. It might be two different stories, but it might be the same story. Where the more fantastic version of the story is that the Maggid comes and stays at the Baal Shem Tov for a few days, and he's not really impressed with the Baal Shem Tov. The Maggid was a scholar. The Baal Shem Tov wasn't really saying anything. He was talking maybe about horses, some analogies about horses, and it didn't do anything to the Maggid. And the Maggid wanted to leave, and he was waiting he wanted to travel at night. It was a full moon, so he wanted for the moon to be like high in the sky so they could see, the wagon driver could see. So he had to wait a little bit. So he went in to see the Baal Shem Tov to just, the etiquette is when you go to a rabbi, a big rabbi, you say goodbye. So he says, I hear you're a scholar, to the Maggid. And he says, whatever. I hear you're a scholar of Kabbalah. He says, yeah, maybe. What am I going to lie and not admit to that? So the Baal Shem Tov takes a sefer off of the shelf, and he gives it to the Maggid, and it's I think it was one of the Kisvei Ari, if I believe, and he says, he points to a paragraph, and he says, please read and explain to me. So the Maggid reads the paragraph, and it's a little bit complicated, and he thinks that he explained it really well. He's kind of proud of himself. I did a great job. I know Kabbalah. So the Baal Shem says, let me see. So the Baal Shem Tov takes the sefer, and the Baal Shem Tov starts reading it. And he says, when the Baal Shem Tov read it, he was talking about angels. He said, the angels actually came into the room. Yeah. So that's when he knew he was a chassid. He became a chassid of Baal Shem Tov. So the other part of that story, and maybe the same part.
Where is that story, by the way?
Where is it written?
Is it just somewhere?
I don't remember if I heard it.
Okay.
or I read it somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, but there's another story similar to that, and maybe it's a continuation of that, where the Baal Shem Tov explains to him, asks him, then he says, "What's the difference between Nigla and Nister?" Nigla is what we generally refer to as the Talmud and the Shulchan Aruch and the Responsa and so on and so forth, the rabbinic literature that is revealed. Nigla literally means revealed, and Nister is hidden. So Nister refers to books like the Sefer Yetzirah and the Zohar and the Kisvei Arid. He says, what's the difference? So the Maggid tells him an answer. I guess, one is talking about the halacha, another one's talking about the sephiros, and whatever the answer, it doesn't really tell us the answer, because the Baal Shem Tov had an answer. So he says the difference, the Baal Shem Tov says, no, I'll tell you what the difference is. He said, possibly the Maggid said something like, Nister is very complicated. It's very hard for people to understand. So it's hidden because it's esoteric, because of what it's talking about is not clear. Most people don't get it. So based on that, the Baal Shem Tov said something like, so that means if there's a difficult Tosfos that most people don't understand, that would make it Nister. That would make it, in other words, if it's about difficulty, levels of comprehension, and how many people actually understand it, there would be parts of the Torah that we call Nigla that would be Nister. In fact, until today, one of the wonderful things about great poskim, I love Rav Moshe Feinstein. I love Rav Moshe Feinstein. You know what I love about Rav Moshe Feinstein? He's a Gadol Hadar. He's the greatest of the generation, maybe the greatest in a number of generations. You know why? Because he could take a Gemara, or he could take something in the Shulchan Aruch, and everybody thought that this is what it meant. He'd say, no, that's not what it meant. He didn't understand it completely. He made a mistake. It's awesome. What does that mean? That means that the Torah is still waiting to be revealed, but that doesn't make sense. It's revealed already. It's revealed Torah. How could Rav Moshe explain something that wasn't already clear? It was 2,000 years ago. Of course it's clear, and yet it isn't. So the Baal Shem Tov says, no, that's about explaining something that's complicated. That's not the same. Doesn't make it Nister. That makes something difficult, and only certain people understand it, and maybe it hasn't even been understood properly, and somebody comes and clarifies and explains it. But that doesn't make it. Nister is. This is Nister. Nister is the inner experience of the young man who's in love with the maiden, the secret maiden. No one knows about it. It's not that nobody knows about it because it's difficult to explain, but because it's internal. It's his feeling. And it's an experience rather than just some intellectual concept. So that's what. So in his day, the Shem Tov was explaining what the Saba, what the old man explained in this beautiful, beautiful section of the Zohar. Okay, so let's look into this story a little further.
Before you do that, there's a line I want to point out in the previous sentence that's just incredible. It's starting with the fourth line. They do not.
Go ahead.
They do not see the path of truth in Torah. Torah calls to them every day, cooing, yet they do not want to turn their heads. Isn't that incredible?
That's beautiful.
Torah is calling to us, us and them, cooing.
And one of the beautiful things about the Zohar is that there's all of these people in the world who so to speak, found the Torah, right? And the Zohar is saying actually they found the superficial level of the Torah. And the truth is, no matter how deep you go, there's another level that's calling out for you to explore and fall in love with, so to speak. So that's why the Baal Shem Tov says Yismach Leiv and Vakshe Hashem. Says the one who's searching for God is happy. Because if you found God,
You're full of it.
you're miserable.
No, you're full of it because you couldn't have found
Yeah,
it.
because you didn't. You can't. God is infinite, right? So, but the search gives you joy because you're going deeper and deeper. You're alive. You're in love. So anyway, so yeah, that's a beautiful line.
I'm going to walk away from this. The Torah is cooing for me daily.
Oh, specifically for you, Dave.
For all of us.
Yeah, but for you, like more than
Me,
than anyone in the world.
I'm hearing it. Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
Sweet cooing.
Yeah.
Shir Hashirim.
But it reminds me of Jung. There's a Jungian. Jung wrote about this kind of falling in love, and one of the things he says about falling in love is that everyone who falls in love understands it to be deeply individual and personal and unique and like no other. He says, the truth is, it feels that way, but there's certain elements of love that are wired into us, so we don't have them all the time. So when they happen, it's so spectacular and so unique that we think of it as being unique, and we have to. That's the beauty of love. It doesn't matter that other people are falling in love. It's not our concern. It's a very unique
Person.
feeling, even if it isn't really true in an objective sense that your love is truly unique. Because there is more than just your love, but it's experienced in a unique way. So the same thing would be when say, even though we can say this for everyone, let's not. Let's reserve it for ourselves. This concept of love that the Torah is calling out to us and asking each one of us individually to come check her out.
Torah, feminine energy?
That depends. What's interesting is here it is in this particular story in the Zohar. In this particular story, the student is the male and the Torah is the female, is the feminine.
The beautiful maiden.
Yeah, it's the beautiful maiden. Yeah.
And in Kabbalah, the written Torah is masculine, is Tiferet, and the oral Torah is feminine, is Malchut.
Correct. The
Zohar
Zohar says the
Zohar.
Zohar does make that division in terms of Torah Shul and Torah Shabbat Peh often.
Tiferet, the
Yeah.
story of love between Tiferet and
Thank you.
Malchut.
I don't think it's making that particular division right here, but it does make that many times. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on. Yeah, David.
Hi, David.
Okay. So let's go on.
Hello, David.
Hello, David.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so we started the Maiden Without Eyes. We're on.
Did we just lose it? Oh, okay.
Tell them what page we're on.
We're on page 33. David.
33.
Okay. Oh, nice.
So I just got off, I just got in the other.
Okay,
on
no
Monday.
problem. Okay, so let's continue here.
So what page one more time?
33.
3-3.
Of math.
Yeah. Okay. You got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on. Hahu rechim migo rechimu derachim le.
For her. This lover passes by her gate constantly,
Avar l'sra besot tadir.
lifting his eyes to every side,
Zakif eno l'chol satar.
knowing that her lover is constantly circling the gate.
Ihi yadas dahar rechima ischar tra besot tadir. In other words, this is such a great analogy because when we were young, you probably met a beautiful woman at some point, and you remember, you're kind of wandering around her neighborhood hoping you're going to meet into her again. Many years ago, right? This happened.
Before the stalking laws went into
Before the stalking laws, yeah. Exactly. Now this doesn't work anymore. So this whole Zohar is going to have to be edited. But actually here, and what's beautiful about this is that this only works because she knows that you're interested, and she's interested as well. So she knows that you really want to see her, and that you're kind of walking up and down the street pretending that for whatever reason you can't just knock on her door because it's not ready, it's not the time yet. So you're just walking around, but you're really waiting to be able to see her for a moment, and she knows that. And she's not being stalked because she likes that. Ma avdas. What does she do? Because she knows this.
She opens.
Paschas pischa zeira bahu hechala.
She opens a little window in her secret palace where she is.
Tmir de'ir taman.
Reveals
V'gilifas
her face
anfa legabe rechima. Right, anfa is face. Rechima is beloved. Umiyad is hadras.
and quickly
V'is
withdraws,
kasiyas.
concealing herself.
Now here's a good question. Why can't she just show her face? What's the big deal? Let her just stand there and start waving
She's very
and
tznius.
holler up, holler down. And what is this whole secrecy?
Remez.
Tznius.
Mystery attracts men.
It does. It does.
Depth doesn't show on the surface.
Yeah, there's some reason definitely of what's going on, of why this isn't out in the open. I don't know the reason. It's not maybe use your imagination.
Isn't it talking about the hidden aspect of Torah?
It is.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful analogy, and the question can be asked about both. The question could be, why the hidden Torah? Why couldn't it just have always been revealed? Just like the woman in the story, why couldn't she
Because you wouldn't
talk to you in your face?
You wouldn't appreciate it.
That could be.
Yeah.
Question is why then? In other words, if she's on the level, why not? If she's got what it takes for you to
Because you don't trust. You don't trust yourself. You
She's
don't trust
flirting with him, Rabbi.
what's that? One
She's
David is saying because you don't trust yourself.
What?
Oh, the other David is saying that she's flirting with you. Okay. He said that too. He said that men like that. Okay.
I think it's because it's illicit. I think
Uh-huh. Okay, that's good.
Because it's what?
illicit.
Illicit. I don't see that.
Because a relationship is a process. Like if you're already one with somebody, you're not in a relationship with them, you are them. So if you have if it's you
It's
and
the
the
beginning.
other,
It hasn't really gotten off the ground yet.
But that doesn't answer the question of why she doesn't throw the window open.
Oh, okay. So here's a couple things. Go to Borough Park today. This makes total sense. Crown Heights, it makes sense. I mean, you don't just go over. The girl doesn't go over to the guy and say, "I've been watching you. Let's go for drinks." It doesn't work like that. You're not. It's a societal thing. They all understand that.
You don't have any crack.
What?
I said if you had an English accent, it'd work for you.
And the bride-
What have you been up to? You've been hanging out in Crown Heights.
The bride covers herself up until the marriage, until they go into the canopy.
Well, that's just them, meaning.
But that's symbolic of this.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd say that there is throughout history. There was a certain secrecy around relationships, particularly in the beginning of a relationship. Even till today, when young men and young women are dating, they prefer to date in a place where they're not going to be seen by the people who know them. It's a very private thing. But particularly before they start dating, because there's so many restrictions in that world, and there's such a premium put on, like, whether it's matchmaking, that the families know who the people are meeting, that just meeting somebody by chance or because you are attracted to them or something like that, that's so frowned upon that if that were to happen and you wanted to see each other again at the beginning, before you had cell phones, this is how it would happen. So throughout most of history, and even till today, this is kind of a semi-realistic thing that could happen.
So there's something not totally, but like halfway illicit.
It's not illicit in the sense that totally illicit, but in that neighborhood, it's frowned upon for even a young single man, a young single woman to just strike up a conversation of that they're interested in one another in on Kingston Avenue.
Without derailing the conversation,
Yeah.
it's interesting to compare that to the kind of dating that goes on when, like, Abraham sends his guy to go find somebody for his son, right? You know, she's there at the well, she brings water to the camp, she's like very open, she gets up and she goes. I mean,
but Yitzchak's not even there.
And he's not even, I mean, but my point is, you don't have this, you know,
You don't have this
vacation, this game, you know, that's going on, which is being described here, which I'm not making a judgment about it, but I'm saying it's just
a lot
different kind
of people have pointed out that the dating scene has changed since biblical times. And then meaning you're right, in the biblical times it's like, hey, my cousin, mwah, mwah, you know, you're beautiful, I'm going to meet with your father-in-law and I'm going to talk business, I want to marry you, you know, like that's Rachel and Jacob, and you're right, there was just a meeting with Rivka and talking to her parents, and it's all, so yeah, things do change in that world for sure. And now we're back out in the open for a lot of people, you know.
This all sounds like there's a Shlomo Torah in there, and I'm sure he's talked about this 100 times. If somebody loves somebody else, you know, you don't expect her to reveal everything all at once. You don't want that. You want there to be something secret that's just between you two.
Honestly, if you want to know what the secret of a good relationship is to always have a little secrecy. In the sense of that there's always a part of you that you're keeping from your partner and then revealing it. And then there's another part of you. But that requires depth. Meaning you have like new insight, like it requires inner growth to be able to keep to really keep growing in love, to keep falling in love. There has to be a part of that person that's so deep that you never, and actually the closest to that is this idea you mentioned, Shlomo, is another teacher. I don't know why the Baal Shem Tov is just like hitting me today. I don't know why. But there's another teaching that Shlomo would say in the name of the Baal Shem Tov that says just that, which is, what does it mean when it says, let us make man in our image? The Tzalmenu could be saying the divine image. What does that mean? What does it mean for a human being to be in the divine image? So the Baal Shem Tov says, and I heard it from Shlomo. Yes, he asked me, like, where is that? This one, I never saw. I heard it. That if a person were to say, I know God, they're probably going to be questioned as saying, what do you mean you know God? You can't know God. God is beyond what a person can comprehend. But yet, we're always saying, I know this person. I know this person is trouble. I know this person is difficult. I know this. The Torah is telling us if the person is made in God's image, we don't know God. We can't know their depth either. Now, and here's where it gets more interesting. This is what I'm adding on based on Ted's comment. It's not just that you don't know God. You want to know God, and you get closer and closer through this, through davening, through what we're doing right now. Some more of God is revealed, but there's another part that's still concealed. The deeper you go, there's still a part that you don't know. That's what love is. That's the height of love. Is that you keep falling in love because there's still some part of the other person that you don't know yet, that you want to know.
Learn about.
That you want to learn.
Yearning.
Yeah, it's about growing together.
You know, women know that. That's the mystery that women know that men don't. They always keep it a little mysterious.
Yeah. Okay, so there's the answer. We're coming up with the answer. Why is this woman hiding? Why doesn't she just come out in the open and make a proclamation of her love? And because she knows that for love to last, you have to have this thing. Okay, so let's continue. This is one of my favorite lines in the Zohar. Right? Ume'oi v'liboy v'nashe azlu abasra.
None of those near the lover sees or notices.
Oh, okay, I'll back it up. Okay, and now this is my favorite line. Ume'oi v'libe. Go ahead, Zev.
Only the lover and his inner being and heart and soul follow her.
That's my favorite line. At least for this line, right? His insides, his heart and his soul follow her. Nice. His whole being is like drawn towards her. V'yada.
He knows
that
out of love for him, she revealed herself.
Isgalis legabe
To arouse him.
riga chadal l'isara legabe chimo. Wow.
Makes the Torah a different thing, in a way.
Yeah. Now there's another thing, and that's the difference between men and women. And actually, it's not always different. Some men are more like women are. A man is, looking at women. Let's say a woman's not looking at men like that necessarily. A woman wants to know before she becomes interested in a man, who is this man? Is it worth it to really be interested in this man? So she doesn't know, so there's a possibility that she's going to be interested, but she can't give herself to the man before she really knows more about him.
The depth of his soul.
Exactly. So in a sense, the hidden part of Torah is the part of Torah that doesn't want to reveal itself, just like a woman doesn't want to give herself over to a man she doesn't feel that she can trust.
Until we reveal the depth of our soul.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So you hear what's going on, is that we have to prove ourselves.
And how do we do that?
Should only be so easy. Then I should have an answer for that. That's the inner work.
Judge, would you direct the witness to answer the question?
Yeah. If only I were on the stand, I'd have to, be under oath. How do we do that?
No, we can move on.
The simple answer is just that there's a certain level of sincerity.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a certain level of sincerity. 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 that goes into the relationship, just like a woman is looking, and a man really at the end of the day, when we make these gender sweeping differences, which have sometimes little bits of truth but are not necessarily true, a man and a woman are looking for trust and reciprocity, right? So in Yiddish, there's a word called Übergegebenkeit, which means dedication and giving yourself. It literally means giving yourself over. But what it really means is that you're dedicated in this answer to your question to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to God. So that kind of like, it's that you desire God, and that desire for God is strong enough that even when you're not powerfully desiring God, it's still going to keep you connected. And this is the essence really of Chassidus and Kabbalah, this idea of dveikus, which is a concept of loving God and wanting to be close to God and entering into this kind of spiritual relationship with God. Now, a lot of people don't like that because of your question. What does that mean? Like I answered it, but then the question is, well, how do you do that? I didn't really answer it because how do you feel close to God? Say, well, you study this mystical text. Well, I studied it, and I don't know if I feel close to God. It's just an idea. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever you do, it's not clear what the results are going to be.
If it's not hungry, you really haven't searched the
But some people are interested more in, it appeals to them, a Judaism that they could quantify in a shear. In which what's a shear? Shear means a measurement. Like I know how to put tefillin on. I know what tefillin are. I know the sofer knows what he's doing when he's writing the klaf. He knows the osios. He knows the ksiva. He knows the stuff. And I trust him, and I'm doing it all right. As we're afraid. We're a religion that's afraid that if we start feeling, we're going to somehow neglect doing. That if I love God, if I can somehow, now to me they come together. You love somebody, you do things with them. You love God, you spend time in your tefillin, davening. But for some reason, some people want to give everything but their heart and soul. They give their money, their time, energy.
Isn't the concern that if you can get there by feeling, then, I mean, I don't share this, but the idea is you don't need the technique.
Correct. I think one of the while asking this question of why is it hidden, and I'm answering it from what I would feel would be a kind of Kabbalistic perspective, but another answer, not so much from the Kabbalistic perspective, but from like the sociology of the concern of what might happen wrong for Judaism if Kabbalah was revealed, if this maiden was never hidden, would be, say it again what you just said.
I was just saying that you don't need to, as you because it's
you don't have to do the mitzvot. You get right to the core.
Right.
Which is almost like a woman, excuse the expression, if you could just get the woman without having to woo her and get her flowers and take her on dates.
It's possible that you can't keep her. So it's like exactly the same thing. You can drop acid and have a mystical experience and feel everything you want to feel about God, but if you don't build the vessels to actually keep God around, it's going to mean nothing.
So that's a great way. So this year is fantastic. Everybody is really giving some great Torahs today. Correct. In other words, the mitzvos are like the vessel or vehicle to sustain the love. Right? That you can't just love in your heart and expect that love is going to be sustainable. Because we live in the world of action, so we have to, and that would be the answer. You're giving a great answer that makes a lot of sense, in the context of what Hasidus and what Kabbalah tell us. Why Hasidus and Kabbalah is not at odds essentially with the other parts of the revealed Torah. They see themselves as partners, as the hand in the glove, as the neshama in the body.
You know, what came up for me, that you can't just have to prove our love to the Torah, etc. We're all afraid of losing ourselves in relationship. And that may be the same fear of losing yourself to Torah and being taken over. And,
Could be.
You know,
It could be. It could
I'm
be.
just comparing the two.
I got one thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to body that, but so I've had the experience with these kinds of experiences talking about here, like maybe, and then when I was a younger man, right, of that mystical feeling of somebody you don't know, but kind of getting a glimpse of, and then you actually have a conversation, and you're like
shattered.
I'm done, right?
Absolutely.
So I mean,
you're right.
So, and then sometimes
nothing
after I was married, and situations where there was some beautiful woman that I was dealing with at work or something, and I wasn't dealing with, I would say, "Hi, how are you?" and introduce myself, just so I knew that I could break that spell, and actually it's a real person, and it's not that mystical, magical thing. Okay, so the way I want to relate it to concealed and revealed is, in a way, by revealing something, by speaking it, by putting words to it, by giving form to it, you destroy it, you know, so that you kind of destroy the purity by giving it some kind of form. So if the Torah if there's some concealed wisdom to it, or I don't know what the right words are, but that by actually having it all out there and available, you're almost by definition kind of destroying it.
Well, that definitely is one of the reasons why a lot of people have challenging relationships, simply because it's hard to sustain this type of love when you know the person. And sometimes, by the way, the love is, like you said, beautiful person, intriguing. You're projecting all types of like wonderful things on them, and it only takes 5 minutes to not want to talk to them anymore. You know, and it didn't matter that 5 minutes earlier you were imagining yourself together with this person for life, and 5 minutes later you don't want to spend one more minute with them. So yeah, it definitely, and that could be part of the reason why there is this process where I'm not answering the question fully. I'm now answering the first original question of why the secrecy. Why this time? This why take your time? Because you're going to start the conversation, and you're going to have many conversations eventually. But take your time, so you get to know each other. And the answer to your thing is, it's the biggest question. The biggest question is, how do I daven every day with feeling? How do I love the person I'm with every day, as if it's like when I first met them or got to know them, right? It's one of the most impossible things.
You answered it though before.
Yeah, you answered it before.
You answered it before. There's always some little part that you don't know that you're trying to get to know.
In
theory.
Theory.
Right, in an ideal
in
relationship,
real,
and in the
in
Torah.
in
and
theory.
davening too.
In theory.
Yeah, in theory.
But people, I think the reason it's only in theory is because people close the windows on themselves. People put up barriers to themselves, and they create, ways of relating to other people and communicating that kind of close off access.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of. It's a complex question about what happens in a relationship, and it's something that I do work on, and I do read about, and I do try to understand, and both in secular kind of psychology and things like that, and couples advice and counseling. Harville Hendricks, very good
He's
stuff.
great, Harville
Yeah,
Hendricks, yeah.
I love that his stuff.
Harville, yeah.
It's fantastic, very helpful, and I try to understand that also through a Kabbalistic perspective, which really fits in. So there's a lot of work to be done in that area, you know.
So, since you mentioned the Kabbalistic perspective, the whole system of Kabbalah is a very strong divine light, which cannot be revealed because it's too strong. So then you have all this system of 5 olamot, 10 sefirot, so that you can filter
So
it.
it's
and
it's
reveal it
mitigating the
gradually,
intensity.
because you will
Yeah,
burn everything
correct,
if you will
yeah.
be revealed instantly.
We need a lot of tzimtzumim and halamot, the
Exactly,
sterim. We need
exactly.
different types of
The souls,
different
the
types
neshamot,
of ways of lessening the intensity of the light.
gradually, and it's,
Yeah.
all it's gradual.
Yeah. But yeah. And also the main thing is we're lazy. Like I realize that there's been certain points in my life that I'm willing to grow. Right? And then afterwards I want to coast. Whether it's at work, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's intellectually, like you know that you're going to like college or yeshiva, and you're willing to like grow intellectually at that period, or you know like you're meeting somebody that you're going to marry, and you're gonna like have an amazing relationship with that person at that time, and then. But later, it's like you're just expecting the marriage or the relationship just to kind of like carry itself.
Mm-hmm.
Or the learning that I did in yeshiva to kind of like like that should be my main learning, and now it should just be a little bit of, review.
Yeah.
And the truth is, we're lazy. We just don't want to do the work.
Afraid.
We're afraid, and and sometimes I think it's that. Why can't I keep the connections with the people that I know? Is it because I'm lazy, or because I'm afraid, or because I find something, I'm busy? I don't know. There's so much to do. And even with the people that I'm closest to, why can't I give them even more?
Mm-hmm.
All the same thing, Lazy isn't necessarily a bad thing. You need to rely. I need to sleep. You think it's fear?
Lazy.
It's both fear too sometimes.
Sometimes it's self-preservation,
Yeah.
If you, just thinking of my own experiences, that it's not that, when you learn and you grow, that you're you're sprouting like the bud of the flower. Sometimes you're like peeling off things and getting raw and like digging yourself into holes, and if you just like keep constantly doing that, you could just
Burn out.
So, there's a balance. We'll go further, but you're right. That there's sometimes we can get that we can't do everything.
This is exquisite.
Yeah, this is amazing.
What this launched us into.
Yeah, but this is fantastic. This section of Zohar. Okay, so let's read on.
So let's read your favorite line again. Come on, I want to
Should
hear
just
it
be a
in-
mantra.
I
We
want
just
to hear it in English.
I like that. Mantra.
what is
By
it
the way, can
again?
you tell me one thing though? Follow her in the Aramaic. What's the actual? Is it follow, or what is the Aramaic word, and what does it mean?
I don't know where was follow.
That was the second
Intervening
to
a
last
hard
sentence.
soul, follow her.
And right in follow.
Uma'ai v'libe v'nashe azlu abasra. Azlu is to go. Abasra after her. So it's those two words. Azlu
Follow
abasra.
or pursue?
To go after her, or to
Sounds like
To follow.
which is to follow. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, that was that line, that favorite line. And now we skip again to Hachi Hu Mila Deraisa.
So is it,
Now
so
and that we're just going to explain the nimshal. That was the mushal. That was this analogy, the story. And now we're going to give us the lesson, right? Well, the word of Torah. Well, not so much a word, but the concept of Torah. Deraisa lo isgalias ela legaber chima.
She reveals herself only to her lover. Torah knows that one who is wise of heart
Yadas
circles.
araisa dahil chakima deliba eschal l'sara beisa kol yoma.
Her gate every day.
Ma avdas.
What does she do?
So in other words, a Torah scholar who's learning on the revealed Torah, let's say, and now we're going to learn like the Baal Shem Tov, that the revealed Torah doesn't just mean the Gemara and Halacha as opposed to Kabbalah and Chassidus. They could be learning even Kabbalah and Chassidus, but they're not yet in an intimate relationship with Torah. They haven't fallen in love with Torah. They're just an acquaintance, a professional relationship. Right? So what does the Torah do? Lias anfa legabe migohechala.
She reveals her face to him from the palace.
Ve'eramizas le'remiza.
And beckons him with a hint.
Miyad ahadras la'astra v'istamras.
Then swiftly withdraws to her palace, hiding away.
Kol inu detaman lo yadiv le'mistakli.
None of those there knows or notices.
Eloihu b'lechudai.
He alone does.
Uma'ai, again my favorite line is going to be repeated. Uma'ai v'libai v'nashe azil abasra.
And his inner being and heart and soul follow her.
See, he likes that. What line? He uses it again. Va'ada orai, because it's really repeating the same story, but now it's with the student studying the Torah, and the Torah and the Torah revealing herself to him just for a moment, so that Torah. But then it conceals itself. Valda oraisa is galias ve'is kasias.
Thus Torah reveals and conceals herself.
And that's a big part of Kabbalah, is this concept of the Torah that reveals and conceals and reveals and conceals. It's like a continual thing. You get
Shuv again.
Ratzav V'Shov is a good way you're learning, Ted. So, for example, there's expressions such as revealing a tefach. The language of Kabbalah is written in a style that reveals a handbreadth and conceals two. So because the whole idea, to begin with, language, Kabbalah is very obsessed with language. Language is both how we reveal our feelings and also conceal and hide behind language. Talking about fear, we let people in only this much of what's really inside of us. So we're concealing as we reveal. That's human nature. And we have good reasons. Sometimes we want to protect ourselves. Imagine you told the truth to a Nazi, right? So it's always, every analogy is a Nazi. You'd be vulnerable to being killed by telling the truth, right? So you can't tell too much to the wrong person, or you can't even open yourself up. Thank you. Too much to somebody who will take advantage of you. That's like the whole Seinfeld episode where a girlfriend wants the pin on and George will not give anyone his pin number. Yeah.
It's like the Nazis or Seinfeld.
Yeah, exactly.
There's also a Seinfeld episode with Nazis.
The soup Nazi. Okay, let's go on.
Good for George, by the way.
Good for George. Yeah, you're with George. As a lawyer, you have to read the fine print that says, "Do not give this." And I think he actually reads it out in the show. That's true. That might be what it means. You have to conceal. You have to conceal your PIN number.
So you wouldn't say that the Torah is. I shudder to say this.
Yeah.
The Torah is not being a tease, because she reveals and conceals herself. She's being a hidden inspiration.
She's
But
being
there's
an
a
inspiration, and
sense
she
of
wants to
peace.
make sure that your heart is like dedicated enough to deserve her full attention, more full revelation. Because the goal here is marriage, to become the husband of the Torah.
Merging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, to be mechadish chedushim, you know what it means to be mechadish chedushim? So the simple chiddush is somebody who, like I said, you learn the Gemara and you come up with an innovative interpretation. But the other way is to become like a master of Torah. Like the Torah is like, you're like this. You're the spokesperson of the Torah. You're the person who is a creative font of new insights that yet are totally new and totally Torah at the same time. That's the beauty of it. In the sense that nobody's ever thought that thought before.
Mm-hmm.
And it was still given at Sinai.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the goal. That's the goal. Va'asas b'rachimu ligabi rechima le'is'ara b'hadei rechima. I think I have to get glasses. I'm realizing that the print is too small for me.
So as thus Torah reveals and conceals herself, approaching her lover lovingly to arouse love.
Yep, let's continue. Tachazeh.
Come and see.
Orcha d'oraisa kachu
This is the way of Torah.
b'kadmisa kadsharya li'iskala l'gabe barnash.
At first, when she begins to reveal herself to a person,
Remizos le beremizu.
she beckons him momentarily with a hint.
Iyada tav.
If he perceives good,
V'ilo yada shadras legabe.
if not, she sends for him, calling him simple.
V'karis le pesi. Okay, great. So, we all know that there's different levels of Torah, like Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Sod. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Pshat is the face value of Torah. It's not necessarily the literal Torah, because sometimes the Pshat is not literal. Right? Pshat in the Zohar means the halacha usually. The halacha isn't always clearly the simple meaning of the text. The rabbis do plenty of excavation and their own kind of, I don't want to call it rationale, but their own methodology, hermeneutics, whatever you want, a fancy word to say how they did their particular rabbinic deductive. Sometimes there's rationale. It always makes sense within that system, unless it doesn't, and then you have a Rosh Hashiva giving lots of shiurim on it, lots of lectures, but that's all pshat in the Zohar, meaning all of brisk, like it's a methodology to analyze a text till you really understand it and can explain conceptually what the Talmud is saying. Pshat. All of the Shulchan Aruch, all of the poskim, pshat. It's a little bit of an insult it's a dig a little bit that the Zohar is taking on the non-Kabbalists, because it's saying everything in halacha is pshat. And there's a remez, and the remez is the hint that there's a lover. The Torah is your lover. So she sends you a sign. She's hidden. You walking around the street is learning Bavli and Shulchan Aruch and Poskim. Everybody doing Daf Yomi, anybody who's done Daf Yomi 2-3 cycles, you're just wandering in the street. The question is she opening up the window? Is she sending you a sign? Did you see a sign yet? If you didn't, if she sent you a sign and you didn't realize it because you're a fool, she sends you a message for somebody to say you're a fool. To somebody who is interested in you. You didn't get the sign. Right? Now there's books written on it. She's into you. The Torah's into you.
This book.
What?
This book, for example.
This book. Yeah.
And she's cooing.
She's going. Yeah. Okay. Armizla Remizu Yada Tavi Lo Yada Shadus Legabe Vikarsa Pesi. The Torah calls the person like a fool. Va'amras Araiselahi de Shadus Legabe. Go on, Zev.
Tell that simple once you come closer.
Imulahi Pesi di Yikar Vacha Vishtoi Badei. Tell him to come close and I can talk to him. Hadahu Dechsiv.
As it is written,
Mi Pesi.
whoever is simple,
Yasser Heina Chaser Lev.
let him turn here. He who lacks understanding.
Karev Legabe.
As he approaches
To her.
to her,
Sharias Lemalala Ime.
she begins to speak with him from
Mibasa Parochasa
behind the curtain.
de Parsole.
She has drawn.
Gabe, you mentioned all of the different olamot, and each olam there's like a tzimtzum, and there's a parsa.
Screen.
Parsa is like a lesser form of a contraction, like a light that has to go through a screen. So she speaks through a screen.
In fact, Zev mentioned the kelim, the vessel. And we speak of kelim, vessels, and orot light. But actually in Kabbalah, the orot are closed in something called levushim. There's a Kabbalistic concept of levushim.
Garment?
Levushim, cover, that covers the light. So the light is actually covered,
We're going to wave to Ben.
hidden by levushim. And there's a Kabbalistic concept of the levush.
Yep. The garment. And okay, so here there's this hiddenness, but she's talking to you through the curtain. Milin lefumarchai.
Words suitable for him
Adi yistakel ze'er ze'ir.
until he reflects little by little.
V'dahu drasha.
This is drasha.
Can you define dressing?
So, on the face value, drasha usually, I just said all of the rabbinic learning is pshat. That's not really true. Walk that back a little bit. A drasha there's a few types of drashas. One is a medrash. Now, why is a medrash a drasha? Because it's filling in on the meaning of a pasuk. Words that are not there. But, for example, through word association, we might derive something. That's a form of a drasha, right? So some of the rabbinic kind of hermeneutics, especially when they're used in a way that is beyond just the simple understanding, the more simple understanding would be considered drasha. See, the problem with pshat, remez, drush, sod is that even in rabbinic literature, the use of what they mean changes depending on the author of each book. So even in the Zohar, you might come across the same word as a pshat, remez, drush, and they might mean slightly different things at different times. But what I like to put it as is that it's stages in the relationship. So the pshat is a relationship that anyone has with someone. It's like an automatic thing. It's like that person's job is a cashier at Fairway. Everybody can purchase an item and give them money and get the change. That's pshat. Remez and drush are more reserved for people who are closer to them. Sod is you're married. Sod nobody shares. Because so when you get to Sod, it's you and that and the Torah. It's your unique relationship with Torah that nobody else can share. That's what we say, "V'sein chalkeinu b'sarasecha," God give me my portion of the Torah, as if you have a specific portion that belongs to you. Not just understanding Torah in general, but your relationship with Torah in a way that no one else has that same relationship. Okay, let's go on. Lebasar.
Then she converses
Tishtoi bahadei
with him from
mibasar shushifa dekik.
Then she converses with him from behind the delicate sheet.
So before it was a proper partition, it was thicker, and now it's like almost a see-through sheet. It's still separating, but it's much lighter. Can make out how she looks much better than before. And these are words of endearment. V'da'ihu agada.
Words of riddle. This is Haggadah.
So what's that in the parlor system?
So-
Haggadah is what?
So, for example,
Drush?
here we're having Pshat, Remez, Drush, Agada, Sod. It's having 5 levels.
Really? I thought
Yeah.
Haggadah corresponds to one of the 4. No?
Not here. Like I said, I'm trying to show you that this is not exactly a parallel to the normal times. We say Pshat, usually there's 4.
Yeah.
Here there's 5. Because again, it's stages in the relationship, right? Even though we generally have 4, here he's introducing. Now, what is Haggadah? So, for example, in the Masuk Midvash, I don't know where he's getting it from, but he says that we know that there's a series of Haggadic stories. Haggadic stories in the Talmud are stories that are usually often fantastic, right? And amongst those fantastic stories, some of the most fantastic stories are with a rabbi named Rabbi Bar Chana.
Rabbi Nachman says about
Rabbi Nachman likes his Torahs so much that he dedicates many of his teachings explaining, and Rav Kook as well, and many others. So it's clear that it's not its literal meaning; it has a deeper meaning when people study that message. They just don't know what it is. So you need like Kabbalah or Hasidus already to be like explaining what those stories mean. Many people study the Marsha on those stories. So that's another form of something that's a secret, that's revealed. Lebasar. Now, and that's a secret, but it's not yet nistar. It's not yet the full-on secret. So we could say that the difference between that secret and the full secret of nistar is, I mentioned before, the full secret is something that you can't trust anyone with unless you're like literally married to them, right? I used to tell this guy, "Can I tell you something in privacy?" And he'd say, "Only if I can also tell my wife." I'm like, "Yeah, but who's your wife going to tell?" Right? But talk about state secrets, right? I don't know, what does the president get to tell his wife? What clearance level does the wife get? Anyway, but we're talking about something which is related to this. But let's go on.
once he has grown accustomed to her.
Right. Labasa de'ir raga legabe iskalias legabe anfin b'hanpin.
She reveals herself to him face to face.
Now, again, the Masuk Midrash brings in the commentary, there's a concept in a methodology of teaching, which is hard to really explain what it's all about, which says the following, that when a teacher teaches, they should first teach short and then teach long. I really don't do that. I just do long. which means, first of all, in the olden days, they didn't have a lot of books. So on a simple level, it just meant give like the structure of the main ideas in a very short hand, a very like easily remembered form, and then go on and explain it. But the explanation is going to be long and complicated. If you didn't give them the overview first, they're unlikely to follow. So the short overview, like a summary, we usually give a summary at the end, but you could give a summary in the beginning and then go do the long teaching. It's a rabbinic advice for teaching.
It's the way
Journal.
business is done, like executive summary,
And,
Yeah.
and then the details.
Yeah.
and academic articles all have a
Abstract.
They have the abstract, yeah. So this is an old like rabbinic advice of how to teach. But what does it have to do with here? So here he's using it for a slightly different purpose. There it's kind of a teaching methodology. Here it's saying give over a little bit in the beginning and wait and see who the person is. Are they ready before you can go much deeper and further? So that's why he's explaining. Why is there such a secret? Well, that's the answer is because we only give over the beginning, the simple things, easy to understand. Perhaps that means that if you give over the depth, certain people, Maimonides had a whole beautiful way of understanding this. It's just very different, but needs to be kind of commented on briefly. Well, how are we doing on time?
We got about 5 minutes.
9:54.
9:54.
Otherwise, it'd be an hour over. And that would be amazing. Like I lost track of time.
Yes,
There is no time.
There is no time. Let's finish this piece because this is the Maimonides has his own thing and his own rationale for this very concept, but for a very different way of understanding what the Sod of Torah is that he describes at great detail in his book Moreh Nevuchim. Okay, let's continue.
So she reveals herself to him face to face.
Umalilos behadei kol rosenstein and delay.
And tells him all her hidden secrets and all her hidden ways.
V'chol archen stein to have a beliba tmir miyom kadmain.
Concealed in her heart since primordial days.
I'm going to come back to that. That needs a little bit of an explanation, but let's finish first. Kedain ihu barnash shalim bala Torah vadai.
Then he is a complete man, husband of Torah, master of the house.
More de besa deha kol razin delay goliaslay.
For all her secrets, she has
V'lo
revealed,
rechikas v'lo chisas minei klum.
concealing nothing.
We'll do one more paragraph. Amrale chamis mila de ramiza de karamizin la bikad misa.
She said to him, "Did you see the hinting word with which I beckoned you at first?
Kach v'kach razin hava.
These are the secrets.
Kach v'kach hu.
This is what it is."
Kedain chamedal inin milan lav la'asofe v'lav la'migr menayu.
Then he sees that one should not add to these words nor diminish them.
Okay, we're gonna review this next week, God willing.
Yeah.
Because I want to. I don't have time to really explain it. We're gonna start in the middle of this thing about how she then starts reviewing, talking to him about how she used to talk to him and how he becomes the husband and what that means.
You don't want to know what the hinting word was.
Yeah.
The copies I made today should be good for next time too.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
You want to leave them with you, and then we'll find the place.
This is say goodbye to David there. Bye,
Bye,
David.
Bye, David. Bye. David. Bye.
Which writing of Maimonides were you saying?
It's in the Moreh Nevuchim.